Wait, we shouldn't go live. Yeah. I'll tell you in a minute. Facebook doesn't give you a delay. It just goes.
Oh, it just puts you right on it.
So I think, let me see. I think we might be. I shall know in a minute. Okay, yeah, it says we're live.
Okay, yeah, it says live on my end.
All right. Well, let me greet everybody that's tuning in, and I'll introduce my guest. Hold on, it look like the lighting in here is a little bad, so I'm gonna turn a little.
Oh my gosh, I love your plants. I'm such a plant mom.
Hi guys, I know this is like a marathon thing. This is my third interview, third of 5. We have 2 more to go as we take advantage of Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, the month of July, which I just was made aware of maybe a week or so ago. And I'm blessed to know 5 professional Black women who are in the mental health field. And I called all 5 of them, and every last one of them said, yeah, I'll do it. Because I think wherever we go, there we are. Yeah. And so we take whatever baggage we have from the US, and we all have baggage if we are Black Americans and we have grown up with the cultural experience that is the reality of the United States. If we admit it, we all have a little post-traumatic stress.
Right.
And so I felt this was very appropriate to have these Black women on because they come from the same background as we do. And the one that's on tonight is actually in China. So she is, in fact, an expat. And so she can really speak to the issues that we deal with. And so moving right along, I will introduce her. Oh, first, let me introduce myself because this is also streaming to YouTube. I am Deborah and Valerie. I am the creator and founder of 60 Plus Black Women Expats Group, and also the YouTube channel with the same name. And our focus here, we have decided, these women have made the decision to live abroad. And so both the YouTube channel and the Facebook channel is to support, encourage, advise, and create community for Black women all over the world. So we are not located in one country. We span from Africa, China, Mexico, Portugal, Panama, you name it. There's a sister in the group. There are about 1,200 plus women from all over the world, some in their 70s that are expats. And so now I will introduce our guest. And let me tell you first how I came to know Kindall. I was listening to her broadcast on Black and Abroad, and I think you were interviewing Christian, and I was just so impressed. And so I contacted her, and we kind of been communicating back and forth over who was going to interview who first. Well, I think I won because my interview on her channel is coming up next month. But Kindall Tyson is a native Texan and an expat for 4 years. She is an engaging licensed professional counselor, a professional school counselor, and national certified counselor, impassioned by assisting clients to lead more authentic and fulfilling lives. And I think I read that you're from the Woodlands, right?
I'm actually from a town an hour north of Houston called Huntsville, but the Woodlands is my virtual business practice. So
yeah. Well, I'm from Beaumont. Okay. Yeah, that's.
Listen, I have family in Beaumont. Okay,
I know you do.
Distant cousins.
Yeah, because Beaumont is 88 miles southeast of Houston. So when I saw the Woodlands, and then you say you're from, that's all in that same area. So we're getting acquainted here.
Yes.
I think Texas, I have found that there are so many expats that are Texans.
Yeah.
I think we're just bold and adventurous.
Oh, we are. That's like that. When I talk to people, that is the through line, the thread that everybody has in common is like this fearlessness, this desire to take risks, just to do something different.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm just going to dive in and
Yeah.
ask you, how did you decide this profession and how on earth did you end up in China?
Okay, so I'm gonna do my very best um, to keep my answers as succinct and clear as possible because I have a tendency to go on tangents. I like to talk, so I'm gonna do my best.
This is your
So
time.
thank you. So mental health is something that has always been important to me. My mother is a retired counselor, and it's really common that you hear from like helping professionals. You know, I was always the person that people will come to talk to, the listening ear, the safe space, and that I'm no different, right? I'm not exempt from that particular accolade. So I've always had a knack for like helping people. I'm really passionate about helping people, listening to people, supporting people, and I decided I actually have my first degree is in business. I have a degree in marketing with a minor in Spanish, which honestly is all about people, right? You have to be able to connect with people, identify the pain point. How can you help them take care of a need, which is literally what mental health is: making
Yeah.
deep connections, being authentic, really getting to the heart of the matter. And I got into education through an injury at a job that was not for me.
Wow.
I think I'm completing my 14th year in education, and it was always my design, the goal that I had is go into education. I was an English teacher for a many number of years, rose through the ranks, but I wanted to be a counselor because I love working with adolescents and helping families. And I was like, okay, so if I'm going to be a school counselor, I'm a bit of a rebel. I don't really like red tape, so I want to own my own. So I definitely need to get my license in professional counseling so I can own my own business, have more freedom, transition out whenever I'm ready. So that's kind of what I decided to do. And it has afforded me not only the opportunity to create programs, really hone into like my creative nature, and I love to learn, but it also has given me the opportunity to go abroad. And so they're very much intertwined. When I was in education back in the US, for a year I served as an administrator. I was an assistant principal at a school in HISD where I met a friend of mine who helped me get my first job abroad.
Wow.
And she and her husband moved to China. They are science teachers working at a school. And I was, starting my career in counseling, school counseling, starting my hours to get my licensure. And she was like, all right, we have a counseling position open. And I couldn't go because I just started. So I can't quit. This is a lifelong goal that I've had. And so didn't go the first time. Another year, I think, rolls around. And at that point, I was ready for a change. I needed a transition in my career. I was thinking about moving to Dallas. But God was like, okay. He reached out to me again. And I was like, okay, this couldn't have come at a better time. I had just completed my licensure, or the year prior, my licensure for professional counseling, national certified counselor. I literally had my first interview while my then boss was on a layover in Tanzania. I had a second interview, got the job on my mother's birthday as I was in the organization I've created. This it's a homogenous group for Black young men, young girls in schools for average students, called Becoming Better Students, and we used to host monthly small group SEL sessions, and I was doing one with my boys, and I got the call and I just started crying. Yeah. And they was like, Miss Tyson, who we got to beat up? What's going on? Like, why?
Kids are so protective.
Girl, they was like, what do we have to do?
Yeah. Where are they?
Yeah. So that was 4 years ago. My China anniversary is August 7th. And I've been abroad, actually starting at my third school, the best school that I think I've worked at, I've worked as a school counselor, worked as a social emotional counselor. I'll be a high school counselor starting in August. And I absolutely love what I do. And kids are kids everywhere. So I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to, one, help expand the importance of mental health in the Asian market. And two, give people the opportunity to see that Black folks exist everywhere as professionals,
Yeah.
help break stereotypes, help break stigma, and really just provide a foundation and, I would say, a guiding path to help people to better experience themselves, accept themselves, kind of work through their mental health, and do whatever they need to do to take care of themselves.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot. And
A lot. I think
you're
about, like, did I do
you're
everything?
so young.
I just I turned 40 last September. But yes, I
Yep,
am still
listen.
young.
Yes,
So,
yes, you're still very yeah. I have a daughter turning 40 in August. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
well, happy
Yeah.
early birthday to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, what that's in August, October. She's actually the day after. I'm the 5th and she's the 6th. And so yeah. And
Okay.
she is also assistant principal. So she's in
Oh,
education. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Educated. Yeah.
Yeah, so I and her husband's a coach, so I'm around. It has to be a mission to want to teach because
Yes.
I could barely stand the 4 that I gave birth to. In terms of
And
patience,
they're yours.
and
Imagine
they're
somebody
mine.
else.
Yeah, and people always say, "Oh, you just love kids," and I said, "I love my kids."
Yeah, it's definitely a calling. I
It
never thought
is.
that education was for me, but when I look back, when I sit and reflect on my life, I've always been in some sort of educating
Mhm.
role, be it formal education, working in programs. I was at one point a consumer brands manager, connecting with people, businesses,
Mhm.
educating on stuff, and just making connections. And so building relationships is really important.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, my kids get it from their dad. My husband was he was a teacher and counselor and abuse counselor, chemical dependency counselor, and all that. So
Ooh.
he used to say he was the socialist and I was the capitalist because I was a stockbroker. So that okay. Now you said I was reading your bio. And it says that you have consulted with numerous organizations internationally and domestically on various
Yeah.
issues related to mental health and wellness.
Yeah.
Could you reflect on that a little bit? Because yeah.
I can't remember all the names of the companies. A lot of them are small startups over here.
Hmm.
Some like multinational, very intercultural. And then back in the US, working with different schools or partnering. There's one I really appreciate. I did a workshop. No, no, I went to, I can't even remember the name of it. Okay, I'm not going to get tied up on the name, but
Yeah.
the
Don't. It's just the experience.
right. The I would say my key reflection is really trying to make the connection in businesses
Hmm.
for businesses to really understand that when you prioritize the mental health and well-being of your personnel, then you
Hmm.
are therefore creating a workforce that will be able to withstand like the ebbs and flows of productivity. They'll be able to better show up as their best self at work, be more authentic, make better connections, make better decisions, be more productive, really just enhance the work experience. But I think it's also important for, well, one of the most important things is to understand like what burnout does to productivity and to retention. And
Hmm.
so for the powers that be, the people that run these companies, the middle managers, for everyone to really understand that people cannot self-care their way out of a dysfunctional system.
Hmm.
So when you take care to create systems that are going to be, that aren't exploitative and that are going to enhance um, and encourage and promote, the importance of wellness, reducing stigma in the workplace, then you will have people that are going to be more honest, I think, that are going to show up as their best selves, that are going to actually want to come to do the work and enjoy what they do, and make better connections. I think it's also important. One of the things I reflected on is really understanding the importance of setting boundaries, professional boundaries at work and in your personal life. I've done a workshop on this in the United States, I think right before, no, that was not, was that before COVID hit? I'm not even, like the years blur.
COVID has everybody like, it's like
right.
before COVID and after COVID, and we're still dealing with it.
Exactly,
but you know,
exactly. DC and
yeah.
I really believe that people have so much more professional autonomy at this point, and they're really beginning to recognize how their work aligns with their value system, and what are the things that they really appreciate, that really makes them feel like productive members of society. And they're saying no a lot more. So companies really have to understand that it is more than just the bottom line. How do you take care of your human infrastructure? And that is one of the things that's really important. I'm a proponent of self-care. I do a lot of educator wellness coaching as an educator, and really helping schools, middle admin, and teachers to understand the importance of, again, taking care of their needs, setting those boundaries, recognizing the warning signs of like psychological decline, but also collaborating to create systems that are not going to promote burnout. And I would say in Texas, for sure, it's difficult when you don't have leadership that is listening to the people on the ground. Because the kids suffer, the teachers suffer, the school system suffers. So I'm hoping that there will be more people that are doing the work, that are part of the decision making. And I think my role is to collaborate with them to come up with programs and systems that are going to embed mental health, social emotional wellness of not just students, but educators and administrators as well, so that we're all living healthier lives.
Yes. Now, in terms of, was this your first time living abroad?
It was. I was actually going to live abroad when I was at university. I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin. Hook 'em horns.
All right.
Yes, listen. Burnout nails now. Listen, okay, the Red Macomb School of Business with my degree, and I was gonna do a study abroad program, but fear and not having the financial means, because I worked through school. I didn't really have to, but I chose to, and really just not really understanding what it is that I wanted. I had an idea, but then all of these barriers to that goal got in the way. So then it's like, I'm gonna do something that's a little bit more safe, still aligned with, what I'm passionate about. And I chose to change my major. So I didn't end up going to Barcelona for a year. So coming to China is my first birth abroad. And it is not what I anticipated, but it is exactly what I needed to do. And the way that I know that it was definitely designed for me is I didn't go looking for it. It happened upon me. It was invited. It was gifted
twice. It happened
3 times actually. My first job, my former teacher, they helped me get the job. Then the job that I'm leaving, I just left. Another friend of mine told me about the job. And then this third position that I'm moving to in August, I was literally where I am this time last year at a hotel in Sonia on vacation, just really wondering, Lord, what's next? I know that I needed to stay. And I met some amazing people that are at the school that I'm moving to. And just looking at the pattern, I've not gone seeking the thing that was meant for me. And as I say that out loud, it just made me think about something else. So I've learned to be a bit more trusting of the process, and I'm not good at that. I'm very much like to be in charge of things. So that's kind of my process abroad.
Okay. I see the ring on your finger, so you married.
No, ma'am. That is my
Oh,
university ring.
oh, okay, okay.
I
That's
mean, I hope to be married soon. We'll see what happens.
yeah, because people always say, "Well, what's like dating over there? I mean, there's black men in China."
Listen, it, I, it is an adventure. I'm single for a reason, for sure. Dating here is interesting, and you really have to have a strong sense of yourself.
Yeah,
Because dating as a black woman in China, which can be a bit anti-black,
yeah,
um, it's difficult, right? You have to kind of know what you want. You have to know who you are. You got to know what your values are. And I'm not one that chooses to settle
mhm,
for something that's transient and temporary. I know what I'm seeking, and it has not. I've not been gifted with that just yet. Here, met
mhm.
lots of nice people
Yeah,
that's in the nice people category,
yeah.
but as a marriage minded individual, not rushing into anything, but very
Oh,
focused on
absolutely.
personal growth, right, and professional growth. I don't know if I meet the individual that I'll marry here. And I can say that I date outside the bounds of race.
Hmm.
So I'm not bound by that. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I think I've built more, friendships and connections that way. And
Hmm.
yeah, I would say that this probably is not my season for romantic relationships, at least here.
Uh-huh.
But I'm hoping if I get on a plane somewhere that I meet this individual that's going to add to my life, because my life is pretty good right now. So
Yeah.
he gotta
Yeah,
come.
he got to come with it. Yeah. So you're going to your third position, and it's also in China. How long you plan to live there?
I really
Or did,
don't know. I'm gonna do the customary 2 years to see
hmm.
what it if it is what I need it to be. Which I
Hmm.
think that it will be, because just entering into the space, having met people, the way that I've connected with people has been so much different than what I've experienced before. I felt a sense of belonging from the very beginning, as opposed to a sense of being othered and dismissed, which is why
Wow.
I left my most recent position.
Mm.
So I'm gonna do the customary 2 years. We'll see what happens. I plan to come back to the U.S. at some point, but probably then to just move abroad, partially or part time again. Like, I can't
Yeah.
see myself living in the United States full time unless like I'm married or something
Yeah.
like that. But I'll vacation often. I'll probably buy
Yeah.
like a property abroad. But
Yeah.
it's just like the pull of being an expat, and the freedom that it provides it's a very strong pull, and that's where I am at the moment.
Yeah. And see, that's why I was so excited to have you on. I'm excited to have all the women on. You being an expat and this being a channel that's focused on expats,
Yeah.
and our channel is focused on the senior expats. We're
Yes,
looking for
I love it.
retirement. We're not looking to become digital nomads or anything like that. We want to sit on the beach somewhere or the mountains.
Listen,
Everybody has a reason.
the good
uh,
life.
yeah. So can you speak to the mental transition of were you born in Texas? Born and raised
Yes,
in Texas?
ma'am. Born and
Okay, native
bred.
Texas, same here.
Born and bred. Yeah.
So what was that transition like? Because I want people to understand not only is the channel for expats, but the families, especially
Yes.
YouTube channel, the
Yes.
Facebook group is just our tribe where we support each other. And in Texas, the first thing relatives are like, oh, let's cartels if it's Mexico, and it's China. Oh, they don't want us there. They don't like us there. And
Yeah.
I will say
Yeah.
closed-minded because that's what's being broadcast to them.
Yeah.
And
The
so
influence.
they have consumed all of this information all their
Yeah.
lives, and
Yeah.
they may have traveled abroad as on a vacation,
Right.
but when you come up with the idea, I'm going to live over there, it's a totally different thing. So speak to the transition, the mental transition of landing in China, and then the impact it had on your has on your family?
Okay, that's a really good question. I would say there a lot of people get really nervous, and they vacillate between, is this the right decision? I was like, listen, as soon as the opportunity was presented, I already knew that it was for me, because it was someone had spoken over me, someone that I really care about in my family, like in my extended family and friend group, had spoken over me when I was younger that I'm definitely going to be international. They can see me thriving internationally.
Wow.
Um, and that prophetic word was also given to me before I left, and I hadn't even known at that point that I was leaving. This individual stated that I see you in an international sense, globally, not just confined to
Wow.
the US or Texas. And I was just like, okay. And then it happened. But the transition to China for me was an easy one when it came to like relinquishing things in the US, letting go, leaving the apartment and putting things in storage, really paring down mentally, letting people know,
Mhm.
having a celebration with people that I really care about at home
Yeah.
for they can see. But anybody that knows me knows that this it's just like me, right? To do daring things that
Yeah.
without really knowing that it's daring until you're
Yeah.
like in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Um, but coming here was very much a culture shock, like most people experience, because it is understanding that I really had to attune to myself, identify what it is that I needed to accomplish over here, really become okay with and accept. Something I speak about a lot is acceptance. Some of the like gray areas in my life that I really wasn't paying attention to because I was working my way into denial, like not working on certain things. But when you come abroad, you are right in the face of the things that can either help you grow or keep you stagnant. And that's a lot of internal work that I had to do. You got to get over like the cultural stuff. Like it still irritates me when I'm walking and people stare. I don't like to feel like a spectacle or taking unsolicited videos. But that's kind of the thing. Like they've not seen somebody like me because one day my hair might be like this, or it might be big, or it might be auburn, and they're just like, pretty brown skin. I'm like, cool, you can look, don't touch,
Yeah.
we're good. But when it comes to my family has always been supportive. I think my mother was just like, as soon as I told her, she already knew I'm leaving. And my dad, who's always a bit more cautious, I would say,
Yeah.
like, most fathers are, was just like, be smart, pay attention to your surroundings. I'm a pretty conscientious person. I don't make
Mhm.
a lot of rash decisions. But they've always been supportive. We stay in touch, we talk. And as an expert, the times do get difficult, they do get hard. So I've had some really difficult moments over here, really adjusting around the holidays and stuff. But it's important to know that I still have a home base. That's one thing that my parents have always said. No matter where you are in the world, you have home. And so
Yeah.
that's really important. My sister, her and her husband and my nieces are my salve. Like I
Mhm.
connect
Mhm.
with them multiple times a week, and my best friend as well, who's about to be a mom and get married. They have all literally been the foundation that has helped me to continue, like to push myself forward. And my sister has a lot more experience. She used to travel internationally from the time that she was in like junior high for running, professional track. So I have
Okay.
a knowledge base, and being able to connect with people that are over here, honestly, that helped me get here really, really helps ease the transition. But I don't think that I had anyone in my life that was a naysayer. And
Okay. Good.
the people in my family, they know that once my mind is made up, I'm not easily
That's
swayed.
it. They might as well support you because you're going in. Right.
Right. I'm going, you can feel how you want to feel, but your feelings don't dictate my decision.
Mhm.
So I'm grateful that they've all been very supportive, and foundational to helping me continue to thrive abroad.
Yeah. Now you came to be over there by meeting someone who had taught there. already?
So the way I came is in the US. At a job I had, one of the teachers on my team, she and her husband moved abroad teaching in China, and there were positions open, and they
Yes.
informed me of it. And the second go round, that's how I got the job, and I came abroad.
Okay. And so is there a growing community of African Americans in which city are you in?
I'm in Beijing.
You're in Beijing, yeah, because I couldn't remember whether it was Shanghai or Beijing.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is Beijing. Um, is there like are there enough of you there to have an expats group?
Yeah. There are
Okay,
lots of
didn't know that.
there are lots of Black people of the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
and there are small small pockets of Black Americans, right?
Yeah,
While we're all Black in the eyes of China,
yeah,
we
yeah,
all
yeah.
have
Well,
very
we're quite
different,
different. Yeah, yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
very
They don't
different
see us
cultural
in
and
here.
experiences. Right. And so there's a growing community. I would say like the stage of life that I in, and I have a good um handful of individuals that I stay connected with, because I'm 40. Like and not even just because I'm 40, I just am of the mindset. I don't want to be out partying every night. I like to keep my
Yeah,
youthful look, right? I
yeah,
want to be 50,
yeah.
not looking 50. So it's just really, it really depends on what it is that you're seeking to get out of your time here. I'm really focused.
Mm-hmm.
This is a strategy for me, a financial tool to the FIRE movement. What is it? Financial independence, retire early, and to build my business, but to grow myself and my skill set, and again promote the importance of mental health. So my reasons for being here are very different. I'm not running from things back home. I ran toward opportunity.
Yeah,
Yet I still have my own challenges.
yeah. We all do.
So right. And so I think it's important when you come abroad, there's that sense of familiarity that kind of helps to ease the transition into living abroad. But I think it's extremely important to branch out, because I mean, I
Yes.
didn't come abroad just to be around one group of people. I've done it my whole life. I've
Yeah.
lived a very multicultural life. Now I love being Black. I love being a Black woman. I promote it all day, every day. And anybody else that is um, uplifting, encouraging, and in that same space, I do what I can to help them. However, I also know the importance of building coalition. So being able to be out here and thrive amongst other like-minded intercultural people, I think is really vital, right? Because I don't speak Chinese that well.
Okay.
So
I was gonna ask how
no,
has
I do
the
not.
language
I do not.
how
And
has the language
I have a
there
good group of Chinese friends. So
yeah,
and it's not transactional. I'm not a transactional individual. I like to
yeah,
get to know the heart of a person. Yeah, so it is a journey. It is definitely a learning process, and one where not only my mental health has been tested, I've been able to support loads of people from all over the world with kind of coming to terms with certain things and
yeah,
finding ways to better take care of themselves.
yeah, yeah. Okay. On that, what are some of the practices that you have recommended to people, to other expats who were having trouble with the adjustment of getting there? It's not what I expected. Oh, I need community. Uh, and one of the things that I think you spoke to that you have to prepare yourself for is you're not going to find you're not going to be able to replicate the United States in a different, just stay to
Oh,
yourself and only be, I'm only going to survive if I find other people that
yeah,
are from the United States or whatever. No, I think you have to have a balance
yes,
of learning the culture, accepting
yes,
the different laws and the ways, and not necessarily blending, but being accepting and open
yes.
to the experience. Otherwise, you are creating stressors that you don't necessarily have.
Right. You're creating your own blockade and you're going to
Yeah,
hit it multiple
yeah,
times.
yeah,
um, I would say for those individuals that are making the transition, and I think this happens no matter, like if you've been abroad for 10 years and if you go to another country, it's kind of the same thing.
yeah, yeah.
It's one, identifying, what's your purpose? Why are you there? First off, so that then you can align what you do, how you connect with people to that particular mission. It's what's the hope? Here's my therapist, jargon. What's the hope that you have for your time in whatever country that you're in? Are you there to travel and have fun? Are you here to do that and grow professionally?
Mhm.
So it's really identifying what is the foundation of my time here. And I would also state that making sure that you make connections outside of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. Growth happens when you stretch yourself a little bit. So maybe that's connecting with people that you would have never thought that you'd encounter.
Yeah.
I just believe that there's no point in choosing to move to another country and not being willing to explore
That
the
culture.
beauty of being interconnected to different cultures, be that other Black people from all around the world
Yeah.
or people that don't look like you.
Mhm.
Additionally, I would say finding people with like interests. You can
Mhm.
start this at work. I'm just a strong proponent of having firm personal and professional work boundaries. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily go to work looking for friends. I
Yeah.
always
Yes.
need to connect with good people, and
Mhm.
sometimes I haven't.
Mhm.
So it is understanding that, creating creating a holistic identity outside of work is going to help you to thrive
Mhm.
separate from work. You need to be able to, have a separation, be able to have downtime, time when you're not totally focused on things that are professional, really just happening to yourself. Something else I would offer individuals that are really trying to acclimate to a new place
Mhm.
is thinking about the areas that you personally know you need to grow or you would like to grow in. And you stated one of my favorite words is acceptance. You have to accept the fact that you are not the center of the new universe that you are in. You are hopefully a welcome guest, sometimes an unwelcome
Hopefully, hopefully.
guest. um, so learning to really just pause, learning the importance of treating people kindly. You get more help with honey than with vinegar.
Yeah.
So it's really a test in emotional intelligence,
Yes.
right? Learning your needs, learning how to take care of your needs, identifying when you are in a difficult place. I will always say do the best that you can to identify mental health support. Licensed
Yes.
mental, let me be very clear, licensed mental health support, because I don't want someone to do more harm
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
attempts to harm, to help someone. So
Mhm.
licensed mental health support, be that service in the country that you are an expatriate in. Um, I'm trying to think. And taking care of your basic needs, really like mapping when your mood is changing, what times of year, that way you can identify, that's pretty much, what are the things that are triggering these potential moods in me, be they helpful or unhelpful, desired or undesired. If you notice that certain things bring you joy, do more of that and try
That's
to
right.
bring people along with you so that it feels more of a communal experience. And if you notice that certain things bring about undesired emotions, it's identifying and investigating with compassion what could be the source of this. Is there something that I haven't been able to work through? Is there something that I'm pushing up against that I'm not accepting? Can I connect with
Wow.
someone that's going to help me to process this so that my time here isn't so difficult? And I just had something in my mind. That's what it was: taking care of your basic needs, making sure that you're eating well, making sure that you are getting minimum 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, making sure that you are exercising, and you can do that in a variety of ways. Even learning, trying new things, hiking. I just bought a bike. I love it. Um, group exercise, internet exercise, just really being active, especially when you notice that your mood is low, get up and move. And staying hydrated. Those are some of the basic things, and doing things that are going to challenge you cognitively, that are going to help you
Yes.
to grow. The key is identifying what are the small steps that you can take to grow into the best version of yourself and loving yourself along the way.
Mhm. And I find that when you're in the US and you've always been in the US, the people around you feel like they know you and they have expectations of what you can and cannot do. Whereas when you move
Yeah.
to a foreign
Yeah.
country, there is nobody to say, "Oh, you're not a biker. What you doing, girl? You ain't never biked. What you doing with a bike?" Nobody knows this is your first time.
Right.
And
Over
in
here
fact,
being
the lady,
adventurous.
yeah, the lady that you interviewed with the interview I saw with you, she was saying until she got to Portugal, she didn't know she was an outdoor person. That she always, considered herself a
Yep.
more
You have a
indoor person.
tiara.
But she
Yep.
now loved walks and the park and being outside. And I was telling we were discussing with the other council. I said one thing I've come to learn is I need to be sunlight for my mental health. I need to, like, the 15 minutes before 10 o'clock in the morning, get grounded. I need to get
Yeah.
grounded. I need to get sun on my body. I need to move
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I want to, in my 60s, and I'll be 67 this year. I'm the only one of, well, I think there's maybe one or two other siblings that don't have diabetes, but it runs in my family. And
Okay.
so, but what also runs in my family is eating habits and exercise. And my
Yep.
dad, of the 12 siblings, I think he was the only one to live to his age and not have anything amputated, because
Wow.
he was a contractor and worked in the outside
So
building
you stay
building
busy.
houses and stuff most of his life. So he was healthy. I saw that.
Yeah.
And so I'm a former marathoner and a distance runner. I like swim. I'm the only one that swims. I love the
Wow.
water. I'm adventurous. I will try it.
That's
I want
amazing.
to
I
learn to
love
surf.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. And I'm not even surprised. Like, I don't even know why I'm saying wow. I'm saying wow because it's like I think that's great, not that I don't expect it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
said something you said something really important, that other people have these expectations, what I call tethers,
They
on
put you in
us
a
that make
box.
it. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, totally. It keeps you really bound, and it keeps you afraid, especially when you have struggles with people pleasing. But I really believe, I think that, again, deciding to move abroad, whatever the motivation is, that already has a thread of a level of intrepidness, like you want to do something different. You
Yeah.
get the opportunity to identify the type of life that you want to live, and you really have to understand, who are you living your life for? Like, what is your motivation? If
Mhm.
your motivation is to make other people proud, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's understanding what's underneath that. Like,
Yeah.
what's the need that you're trying to meet,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
want other people to see that you're doing well?
Yeah.
What are you trying to prove to others? And how do you like turn that around to identify, what do I want? What do
Yeah.
I need? And I don't think that it's selfish to prioritize yourself, because you can't do well for other people
Mhm.
until you take care of the basics of who you are and really begin to identify what is it that makes you happy, what makes you feel like you're thriving, what makes you feel mentally well, and tapping into those new things. So if it's doing all these adventurous things, do that. And if somebody isn't okay with that, that's fine.
Oh well.
That's
Oh
fine.
well. And that's what I love about your generation. Really, because those of us 60 and older, we we feel a lot of them are still raising grandkids, or what, they feel like they're stuck into this mode of Black women, I will do this when I will do this when I raise my kids. Oh, well, not when I raise my grandkids, because one of my children is not, didn't do too well, and I have to raise the grandkids, and I have to do this, and they look around, and their health is gone, and
Yeah,
they have lived their life
for
taking
others.
care of other people.
Yes, we've been
And
trained to be nurturers for everybody else but ourselves.
absolutely,
It's really
absolutely.
breaking that chain and having a paradigm shift that
Yeah.
two things can exist at the same time. But again, learning how to implement boundaries and say no
Mhm.
is really important, and processing the really difficult emotions that come up when your identity is centered around taking care of everybody else, being the nurturer, but you don't nurture yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think some of the women who have moved abroad have to get used to not having to take care of someone. And they
Or
almost feel like
can
they
I
don't
reframe
have
that?
a
Can
purpose.
I reframe that? I would
Yeah.
even say, instead of not having to take care of someone, being open to, willing, and excited about giving themselves the same level of care that they give to everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
Because some of them are saying, well, I just don't feel like I have a purpose. That's because you never made yourself the purpose. Your purpose was out, and we're taught that. I mean, especially our
yes,
generation
yes,
was taught
yes.
that. I'm so thankful that your generation didn't buy into it. And it's like, no.
Do you know why? I want to say there. I would imagine that there are people, in my generation that have the same, attitude of being steadfast in the care of other people, right? Because there are
Yeah,
some families with that
yeah,
enmeshment and that
yeah.
generational curse. Luckily,
Enmeshment.
I was not born into one, but I will say this: it took mothers like yourself, mothers like my mom, Christine, mothers like, my sister, my friends, to really sit back and process, do I want to pass on the type of experience, good or bad, that I've had to my children, or do I want them to have something better? It's
Yeah,
really identifying, what do I want to push forward into that new generation. And sometimes it works. Sometimes, you have blunders. That's all a part of the process. It is a learning experience. But I couldn't be here without a mom, a dad that allowed me to explore, like, what makes me happy, push myself and exceed, and give me that example. It is very, like they say, representation matters. It's very difficult to be something that you can't readily identify or connect with or see. It happens, but it's a little bit more challenging. So I want you all to, you know, take your flowers, because
yeah.
that seed has to be planted. It doesn't just sprout, right?
That's
We
true.
have to be
That's
able
true.
to grow and thrive in an environment that allows us to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's still very difficult,
Mhm.
because there are what's the word I'm looking for? There are drawbacks to being, so independent, and, being the segment of the country that is the most highly educated, being, at least in Texas, right, the Black women, the women that are building businesses at greater numbers than, other
Yeah,
subgroups. There
yeah.
are some drawbacks to that I know myself and other women of my generation, they feel, right? And sometimes it feels like, well, am I enough because I don't have these things, this husband, these children, that the society and the world,
Says
aligns with,
you need all
we
of that
want.
to be happy. Yeah, and fulfilled. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it is very much a balance. It's very much a give and take. Um, and I think that things will begin to level out over time. But yeah, we women like myself could not exist without women like you and my mom, with foresight enough to know that I want my child to have better,
Mhm.
um, and being open to what that is. Um, yeah, and if I could give, I don't really give advice, but if I could make a suggestion to women in the generation above, myself, I would definitely suggest that you all invest in, how do I say it? What do I say? After having spent so much time caring for others, putting other people's needs first,
Yeah.
sometimes denying like the pain that you may feel, the emotional, turmoil, and as kids grow, the separation, and then really having to re-identify who you are and your purpose. Honestly, I think everybody should be in therapy. That is just my framework.
And I do
But
too. And I'm glad you brought that up.
but investing in working with a professional that's going to help you to kind of sift through the weight of, what do I want my life to look like at this stage of my life? And how do I give myself permission to let go and know that it's okay to let go, and to devote that time to myself, to identify, do I have anxiety? Have I been dealing with, clinical depression? Are there other things that are impeding my ability to thrive? That is something I want you all to gift yourselves, and knowing that it's okay, and knowing that you can, I don't know if people are religious or not, but you can love the Lord and have a licensed therapist.
Yes, yes. Oh, the I I was telling one of the first interview that the pandemic did a lot to remove the stigma of saying I need to seek professional help. Because the pandemic didn't just happen in the US, it was a world. We're
Yeah.
still dealing with it, but the whole
Oh,
world shut down and
yes.
everybody was faced with their issues. They couldn't escape into work, they couldn't escape into church, they couldn't escape into the after parties or the sorority. They could, all their escape was gone,
Escapism.
and nobody could come and visit you, so you sat for a year with yourself. And I think everybody realized, or the majority of the world said, okay, it's not working. We need to get some help. And
Yeah.
so now you have all this July, minority mental health awareness, May, mental health awareness, you know, back, I saw,
June is Men's Health Awareness Month, so that's important
okay,
too.
see, it's so it just brought it to the forefront. I have ADHD, and the the counselor, that the therapist that was on the first interview is an ADHD coach who had
Oh,
ADHD, who didn't get diagnosed until her child in school was showing symptoms and got diagnosed. And she goes, "Wait a minute."
like me.
Yeah, yeah. And so we were both saying that women, we weren't even, nobody even screened us. And ADHD has been around for, it's one of the oldest mental health conditions, and it's not an illness, it's a brain difference, you know. And I say,
Yeah,
we're
it's a
not going to get
neurodivergent
better.
way of having your brain
That's
work.
it. We're brain divergent. You know, there's typical brain and there's different brain. We're different
Right,
brain. And
right.
so stop telling us to get better. We are fine. We're living in a typical world that doesn't
Yep,
understand us. And
exactly.
one of the things I did a lot, I do a lot of research. And one of the things, one of the books that I am going to write, I want to investigate whether, because usually people that are ADHD, especially adults, also suffer from depression. And I think the depression comes from living in a world where they are not accepting of the difference.
Or
So
even
I,
aware.
that's right. That's right. And
Yeah,
so I think it's the way they're treated that created the depression, because people
I
weren't
hear you.
accepting of the difference.
I love that. I listen, when you write the book,
Yeah.
let me know. It's so funny that you bring that up, because at this age, and this is a moment of self-disclosure. I don't often have a lot. I think I've been recognizing signs of ADD in myself. And I'm making the decision like in a few weeks to get tested for ADD. Um, and that took a lot for me to even just like, could it be? But I know denial will screw somebody's life up, and I'm just
Yes, it will.
I'm not a hypocrite, so I can't tell you to take care of your mental health, and I do it myself.
Hello.
Um, so I'm really encouraged. Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being so open. Because the openness that you're doing, the honesty that you're sharing is definitely unlocking the healing for somebody that's listening to this, or somebody that they're going to share it with. So yeah, you're giving
Absolutely.
somebody permission
Absolutely.
to take care of themselves and
Yeah.
attune. And something you said, which was really important, that I think it aligns to something that was mentioned earlier, is maybe there wasn't, I won't even say a desire to focus. I would say the opportunity to focus on the lived experiences of individuals, maybe with ADHD or anxiety or depression, decades ago, because there was such a need to survive, right? To survive
Yeah.
through the civil rights era, to
Yes.
provide,
Yes.
to make sure, Jim Crow, depending on, the generation that you were born into, raising children, really just trying to live as thriving Black people in the United
Yeah.
States to get
Yeah.
your progeny to the point that they are, right? So it's like there's no time to
Mhm.
focus on me struggling in these particular areas and the guilt that comes with even thinking about doing something for yourself when you have so many others, again, Black women syndrome, to take
Wow.
care of, right?
Wow.
Um, but I say the time is now, right? Whenever you get that
Yeah.
inkling, there's so many resources. You can go do, self screenings, which is by no way a diagnosis, but it's just to kind
No.
of get more
No.
information so that you can then reach out to a professional. You got
Hmm.
therapy for Black girls. I'm a therapist. You have Melanin and Mental Health. You have the Boris L. Henson Foundation that provides 5 free sessions of therapy for BIPOC individuals. Utilize that resource. I have a few clients through that program. That program is amazing, and scores of others
Wow.
where
That's
we
good.
don't have an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's fantastic. In fact, she has a group that, because we were talking about the different of the similarity, because she was saying how important expats groups are, because
Yeah,
we're not the majority in the US.
right.
So we need a support group when we
Yeah,
get there or before we get there, to help us, to encourage us and to enlighten us as to the different laws. And I was telling her one of the things that our group, because we're older, just about everybody's on some kind of prescription. Some prescriptions in some country are illegal. And so you don't want to find out when you're going through custom that the thing that you take every day is not going to come with you,
yeah. So
or
then
that
that
you
would
might
be
get, you could get
exact. So then that
arrested
would
over it.
be exactly. So I don't think we can afford, as Black individuals, we can't afford to move places without being conscientious, aware, and informed, right? That's just not, I would say the majority of us don't have that affordability, right? We
Mm-mm,
have to
no.
be very intentional about the places that we're choosing to move. And I want to take a minute just to, pub my friend Shar Winter's app Expat, which is a
Yes.
great community
Yes.
of
Yes.
individuals all over the world that share all
I,
of this information,
yes.
that we need
Yeah.
to make
Yes.
informed decisions.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you brought her up. I saw your interview with her, and it was just, it's fantastic.
Oh, it was
And
one of my
that,
favorites.
yeah, yeah, I know, I too.
I mean,
And
I like them all.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I like Stephanie and Adelia. Pinky Girl travels the world, solo traveler.
Yeah,
I like. There's so many that I like, and I'm so thankful that there exists, because there's a place for each one of them, and you're not
yeah.
bound to just one. You can be
Oh no.
members of so many of them, because you're learning and growing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we discussed with the woman that's an ADHD coach, I saw her because I was watching a channel, ADHD is the New Black, who I follow her. She's hilarious. She is fantastic. And um, Dr. Cozy, Inger Shea Cozy, uh, came on as her coach. And I was like, what? They have ADHD coach? And
Yeah.
that's how I came to know her. And
Okay.
then following her, I found out that she has a Facebook group with like over 1,000 women, Black executives with ADHD. I could
Wow.
not believe it. And so I
Wow.
told her, just like she was very complimentary of the Expats group and providing a community, for me to find a group of women who I did not have to explain ADHD to.
Yes.
Oh my
Oh my
God.
goodness. I can only imagine how comforting and how safe that felt. Just like having a Black woman therapist, I don't have to explain the nuances of being a Black woman, right? So I can only
Yeah,
imagine just the level of comfort that provided you. I would even add to that is sometimes, and I would say this is probably more so like, with research in children, there's an overlap between the symptoms of ADHD and trauma. A lot
absolutely.
of
Yes.
the ADHD manifestations can also be trauma responses. So it's really
Yes.
important that, I'm an educator, that we're screening our children if you're noticing things, and trauma can be a wide berth of things, that we're screening
Yes.
kids, even adults, for traumatic
Yes.
experiences, and that the care that we're providing is trauma informed. Because as
Hmm.
Black individuals, and Black women, being that double minority, we Black and we women too, we have a
Yeah.
bevy of traumatic experiences. And then add to that being a professional Black woman. There's
Absolutely.
a lot that we experience that we may not be able to unpack, that goes
Hmm.
into our self perception, how we relate to the world, decisions that we make, decisions that we don't make. And so I would definitely
Absolutely.
encourage individuals to do more research about, what are the signs of trauma, what are the manifestations of trauma, and how do they align, or how do they correlate with maybe some
Hmm.
ADHD symptoms, and looking
Hmm.
into seeking a therapist that is trained in trauma informed care.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And it's so interesting you say that because we were talking about you choose a therapist just like you choose any other professional, your primary care physician and your eye doctor. There needs to be a connection there. You don't have to accept the first therapist that your insurance company sends you to. And I told them
No.
I have fired, I have just said, okay, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. And I have this is the first time in my life I have a Black therapist. And I walked in her office and it was like,
I'm so
oh
happy for
Jesus,
you.
I've lived long enough to have a Black therapist. And she goes, yeah, because we're all traumatized. I was so
Listen, all of us,
She
all
said,
of us.
we're all suffering from post-traumatic stress, but it's our way of life. And
Yeah. Which is difficult, because then you have then you got the compound, then you got
yeah,
complex PTSD when you have
yeah, yeah,
compounding experiences,
yeah,
repetitive experiences. I mean, just
yeah,
look at summer 2020. You
yeah,
had COVID and everything that was happening in the Black community. Then you had the assassination of George Floyd and everything that was coming out of that. But it's not just him. You got Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor. You know, just
Uvalde, right here in Texas, these shootings.
Uvalde,
Oh my
right? That is
God,
still a
Uvalde.
consistent trauma.
We
Um,
just live every day about where's the shooting gonna. I was at lunch
Buffalo,
Sunday with some girlfriends, and we saw a couple of police cars, and we all thought, "Oh my gosh, are we in the middle of a shooting?"
yeah,
Who needs to live like that? We're in
yeah,
Texas. That's commonplace. You don't even, anybody can get a gun. Everybody has a gun. You just don't
yeah.
know, and that's no way to live. Yeah.
But you know what? That's the importance. One thing that is baked into our culture is, how do we, like, harm reduction, right? And voting is harm reduction. I'm not gonna get on my horse,
I
because
hear you though. I know we don't want we be here
but
for 2 hours.
we have to exercise our
Yeah.
collective power because we have it and bring about coalitions. If there's a certain outcome that we want, we have to vote the appropriate people
Yes.
in place to do that, knowing that we may not get everything we want. That's not the nature of politics anyway. But we have a voice, and it's important that we use it.
And they trying to put legislation in place to take away though. I tell them I'm a minister, I'm a licensed minister. I preached last Sunday.
I sensed that. I felt it.
And that was and I told myself this is not political. I said this is we are watching our power being taken away. I said we don't need to march and get loud and scream and cry. They're used to that. I said,
yeah,
we are not trying to change the minds of the politicians. We need to change the politicians.
Exactly.
Because they have already made their decisions. The corporations are telling them what to do, and they could care less about the consumer. And now they're trying. I said, I don't care if I don't get water and I have to wait in line for 4 hours. I'm gonna get them out. You're not going to change their minds. So change the person out of that position while you still have that right.
Exactly. I see it as like the kind of theory when it comes to therapy that I really appreciate in addition to CBT is solution focus. I can give you solution to every problem, right? Yeah. We know what the problems are. Yeah. So how do we go on a solution seeking mission to bring about the future that we say we want? Yeah. How do we put in Black women historically, like everybody knows this, are, the leaders,
that's it. And I said, you know what? I said, we brought the last 5 years upon ourselves because after Obama, we thought we had arrived and we sat home and didn't vote. And other people voted that nemesis in.
Exactly.
And we're dealing with the consequences of sitting home and saying, we don't like Hillary. You ain't got to take her to lunch.
And I loved her, right?
I was like, yeah. But for the ones who say, nah, I mean, I don't think they realize the impact now. But
that's the problem. That's the problem. That's why I was talking about harm reduction. My thing is, why does it have to get so bad for then you to realize, oh, I should have, could have, would have? It does not have to be that. We have to be more, and this is the whole thing with mental health as well. I just, make the connection. You have to be preemptive instead of reactive, right? You have to begin to live your life in a way that is going to mitigate having such overwhelming experiences. I mean, they're going to happen, but they don't have to be as difficult if you just pay attention to the present and take care of what's coming up for you in that moment. Lives are about to change if people don't get out, in Texas especially.
I know.
So,
and one of the things, like you said, my generation made it possible for you guys. Yes. One of the things that I'm doing right now, I have told all of my children they need passports for themselves and all of my grandchildren. Because I'm like, how bad does it have to get before you leave? And I'm not saying you run it away, but no, you make a choice. You make a choice that you don't want to live in a state, country, or whatever, where everybody is carrying a gun. That's true. Choice. That's a choice.
That's true. That's true.
So, don't wait until it's your loved one.
Exactly.
And I told them, you don't have to leave, but you need to have the option to leave.
And I believe that's part of, like, everything literally goes back to, the conversation that we're talking about. It all intertwines. Like, mental health is political. Being Black is political, right? And when you don't have options, then you feel, stuck, and you begin to act out of duress and make bad decisions. Mm-hmm. And so, if, like you're saying, what can you do? Your present is going to determine your future. So mental health, voting,
Yeah, all of
education.
that,
What are
all
you
of that.
doing right now
Yeah.
that is going to help, propel you, push you to the future that it is that you say you're seeking? What are you doing this hour? We're having this conversation, so somebody gonna catch this word. What are you doing after this? Are you going to exercise so that your health is going to be improved? Are you having conversations with, family members so that they're more informed? Are you seeking a therapist so that are working on your depression? What are you doing at this moment that's going to help you bring about that, what we call a preferred future that you
Mm-hmm.
say you want? And if you
Yeah.
don't know what that is, then you need to spend some time and reflection, really thinking about, if I could have it any way that I wanted it, what would it look like? And then
Yeah.
how do I start today to move in that direction?
Yeah. And I think that was one of the things, because my family was like, "Oh, well, you're getting older. Aren't you concerned about healthcare?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I'm leaving." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Do you know?" And this woman wrote this wonderful story, and she was like, she had just had surgery in Fort Worth, and she was having complications, and so she called, and she got the answering service, and the answering service related to the doctor, and they got back to her, and never did see the doctor. They did the surgery, but they told it was probably this, probably that, and they sent out prescription or whatever. Well, she was going to delay a trip to Panama because she was in the process of becoming an expat, and she knew where she wanted to be in Panama. Well, she went ahead and she made the trip. She started having complications. She called the doctor. The doctor had her sent a car for her,
Oh, wow. Oh,
brought
wow.
her to the brand new hospital, uh, examined her, test everything, uh, sent her back, asked her if the her accommodations. He's well connected with the the hotel that's next to the hospital, and he could get her discount there because he wanted her to stay there for a certain period of time. And she was like, "No, no, no, I'm doing fine." But then she didn't, and he did. And she had his cell phone number, and they were like, "That is not uncommon for you to have not the answering service, but the doctor's cell phone number, because it's health care over there. Over here is all capitalism." And not that our doctors don't want to treat us, because I believe they do, some of them.
Yeah. Or they
But
wouldn't go into
the
doctor
hoops,
unto medicine.
yeah,
Right.
the hoops they have to jump through to treat a patient, because
Yeah.
the pharmaceuticals tell them what they can prescribe, what tests they can do, and all that. So whereas so many procedures, and I was telling them, when I did my boots on the ground in Puerto Vallarta, I had set up to get dental work done, eye work done before I got there. Those
Yeah.
appointments were set. I had gone through because I wanted to test it,
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
it. And the care, it was phenomenal. It was
Wow.
phenomenal.
I'm happy for you.
And it was so much less. I didn't need to use my insurance. I could pay out of pocket.
You don't go
And
into medical
yeah,
debt.
and that's why I'm telling people. I'm like, no, 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 no. Again, you are listening to the propaganda that this is the best care you're going to get. I say we are, we're not preventative. Where the other countries, they're all into keeping you healthy
Yes. Yes.
and
Getting
the
to the root of
preventative
the issue,
care.
not
Yeah.
putting a band-aid to
Yeah,
keep you
yeah, yeah.
coming.
Not waiting to, urgent care and trying to get, surgery.
Right.
Let's
But then when
use
you
it
think
for
about it,
care.
there's that
Yeah.
whole medical racism, tied to all of that, where you have more Black and brown people having to exercise urgent care and emergency services because they don't have hospitals in their neighborhoods, redlining. There's a good book called The Color of Law that and obviously the 1619 Project that discusses all of that in great detail. And it's infuriating to read, but then it's also inspiring to know that, again, if we collectively come together, things
Hello.
can and change. They can change.
Yeah. And I had a primary care physician for 9 years. Love him. He moved to San Antonio. The woman I wanted to stay with the same office. The woman was a female. So I was like, oh, okay. but she was Middle Eastern, whatever.
Right.
And I thought it was going to work out. And even though she had 9 years of my history, her question, and I'm not, I didn't, I don't walk in with a chip on my shoulder or whatever. But I noticed she's like, okay, well, I'm doing a urinalysis. Now you're looking at my labs right there. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just thinking she's being thorough. But every time I come, you're doing a urinalysis. And every time I come, yes, every time I come, you're asking me, do I have another doctor that I might be getting medications from? And I'm like, and then I referred a friend to her, and she's like, Deborah, that woman urine tests me every time I go. What's she looking for? And I said,
Wow.
Me too.
I'm so sorry.
Does she assume that every Black woman is trying to get drugs?
Right. That's where cultural competence. That's where cultural competence.
And she's a minority, but it's still she wasn't Black, and so she just bought.
And there is a difference.
Yes, she bought into it, and my girlfriend had totally different issue with pain, and she was not treating her pain at the level because they think, we have a higher tolerance.
That's what they think, and we know that's not true.
Not true. Right. She went to another doctor, and he was like, "Well, no wonder this is like an aspirin. What she's giving you."
Wow.
And so it was so disheartening.
Yeah.
But that's what we're faced with. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I think I was reading something the other day where you have some of the largest classes of Black students going into medicine at Black universities for these very reasons.
Yes.
Competence again
so
will keep
needed.
people healthy or unhealthy. So it's important. I heard this phrase from a group that I follow, people that I know, Melanin and Mental Health.
Wow, I think
Ebony and Eliza, right? They're therapists in Houston, and they and I'm paraphrasing it loosely. It is, changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Melanin and what? I want to
Melanin and Mental Health. Melanin and Mental Health. I love them.
Wow.
They have podcasts, website, merchandise, all those things. They're two amazing Black women that do really good work to embed cultural competence into all the work that they do, really shifting narratives when it comes to mental health, especially in our community. And I definitely look up to them a lot. So that's a good
that's important. So I want you to be sure and send me anything like that you feel would benefit, because I will put that in the description because that's what we are, a resource. Yes. And so that's how we find out about what's going on in the world, is by having people all over the world come and talk to us and say, this is what's going on over here. This is what's going on here. And that's how, because it's up to us. It's our responsibility to seek that information.
I agree for sure. Yeah.
Wow. Well, this has been an hour and 18 minutes, but I'm telling you, I've enjoyed every second.
Me too.
I mean, find a Texan and a Texas accent. Hey.
Yes, ma'am. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love all of the connections. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think all of this happened because it was supposed to, for me to be able to pull this together. And I mean, how many times we rescheduled, because I was trying to do Zoom to YouTube. It just wasn't working. And so I just had to go back to StreamYard and say, I got to get this done.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm so glad it worked out. This has been very much a fruitful conversation.
Yes. I think a lot of people got to benefit from you. And thank you so much for agreeing to be here and just sharing your wisdom with us.
You're so welcome.
And you have a good day. It's morning over there.
It's afternoon. I'm about to go to the gym. Here. I'm going to go to the gym, and then I'm going to spend some time at the beach reading a book.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. So you're
yeah.
traveling. So what city are you in now?
Right now, I'm in Sanya, which is the southern part of China. It's warm, it's beautiful, it's hot. The sun is out. I need it to kind of
Oh,
help,
wow. Well,
jolt me
we're
back to
scorching.
life.
You know, from talking to your mom, we're scorching here. Like I call
Woo.
Houston is a crab ball, and
Yeah.
Dallas is a little drier. so, so we're being
Buffalo is in
roasted.
between.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a crab ball or roasted. Either
Yes.
like dry heat
Yes.
but it's just stifling here where you
Yes.
have to
I
just
just
get
want
out.
you all, if I can just say this, I just want everyone to take care of themselves. I'm definitely not like an alarmist, but with COVID BA.5 on the rise, and there are thousands of cases of monkeypox in the United States, I just encourage us, please get vaccinated, do your
Boosted.
research.
If
If
they
you
come around with
do,
another booster, I'm taking that too.
listen, thank you.
I caught COVID what this is July, June 30th.
Oh
I
wow.
tested positive. I was so mad, but I knew I was going to be okay because all the vaccinations,
Yes.
all the boosters,
And
I
that's
lost.
why.
Yeah,
And that's why.
yeah,
And to make sure that everyone is masking up
yes,
indoors. Like
yes.
COVID is not over.
Mm-mm.
And I don't want to see another life lost
Me
when
either.
it doesn't have to be.
No,
So
no.
just encourage
I'm in a
you.
high rise. I wear my mask on the
Yeah,
elevator. I don't care if they look at me like I'm crazy because they're not reporting the rise now. And so people have let their guard down and it's continuing to mutate the different
exactly.
variants. And no, I lost a very, very dear friend in
I'm so
December.
sorry.
And
I'm so
and I, that was such a awakening. Uh,
yeah,
because she
yeah.
didn't have to. She
I
didn't have
lost a few
to.
family and friends as well
Yeah.
over the last 2 years. And
And,
it's we
and
have
when
to
we go
take
to
care
the
of ourselves.
hospitals, we don't get the attention. We don't get the super duper. When they were doing lung transplant, we not gonna get no lung transplant. Okay, we not.
I hear you.
And I to believe to this day, my girlfriend could still be here had
Oh
they
wow.
treated her the way she should have been treated. So
I'm
yeah,
so sorry.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because
Yeah,
all over the world, we need to not let our guard down. That
no,
this is
no.
we need to come to grips that this is a new normal.
It
That,
is. It is. It is.
yeah,
And we can still thrive, but it just
yeah,
has to be with a lot more wisdom
that's it.
and and care for community, right?
Yes,
Each of us impacts everyone else, and I think that's part of why things are so challenging is that that's being lost in the
yeah.
conversation, and people aren't listening to reputable sources. If you
Yeah.
know a Black woman doctor, reach out to her. There are plenty of them on Instagram that you can follow
Yeah.
that will give you real
Yeah.
information.
I have a Black woman doctor now, and
Yes.
I mean, my primary care and my therapist are Black women, and I'm confident. And as soon as they find it, they're full, and I was like, no, there are more coming through. They're being
Oh,
able,
yes.
and you just keep looking until you find one because it's your life.
Yes, I agree.
All right.
Thank you so much for letting me give my gift of gab.
We need it. We need it. I mean, and the technology that allows you in China to speak to, the rest of the world right now.
Yes,
I marvel at that.
I'm grateful for it.
I've lived long enough to see all the different improvements and new stuff that's coming down the pike.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that we used to think was Star Wars and fantasy. No, it's a reality now.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
connect with a person across the world and
Exactly.
have a conversation.
Exactly.
Well, you enjoy that beautiful weather.
Thank you. And
I will try to stay
stay
hydrated.
cool. Yes. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You have a good morning.
Thank you. You have a good evening or nighttime.
Yes. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.